So in this video I'm going to address the main differences between one-handed and two-handed solving with the Roux method. So I get a lot of questions about this, about people asking about solutions, algorithms, solving styles, all that type of thing. And keep in mind, this video is going to be geared towards people who solve using my style. In case you don't know what my style of OH is, I basically use my left hand. I keep my first block on the left, second block on the right, and I almost never rotate. Other people kind of do their first block on the top, on the right, and then rotate to second block, or they solve right-handed into the first block on the left and then rotate for second block. I personally think those are slightly inferior to doing everything rotationless, so all my ideas and thoughts about the differences are going to be only relevant to my style of solving. So the main difference and the most obvious difference that most of you should know about is the CMLL algorithms. So for two-handed, there's a lot of algorithms, sorry. In Roux two-handed, there's a lot of CMLL algorithms with R wide moves and D moves, and these are pretty hard to do fast in one-handed. So about 13 CMLLs are specific to one-handed, and that's actually not even that many algorithms to learn. It's only like what, a quarter of them, a little bit over a quarter. So if you're interested in one-handed at all, you should check out my CMLL one-handed doc page that's on my website, linked in the description, and just learn those 13 algs that are different from the two-handed CMLLs. All the rest of them are the solution for the CMLLs are the same thing, the algorithm. Some of the executions might be slightly different just because of rotations, and since a lot of the algs are the same, I think it's important to have really good F move finger tricks in one-handed, both F and F prime, so you need to be able to do F and R's really well in quick succession. So drilling those algs and making sure your F moves are good is very important. Moving on from CMLL, in first block, although a lot of people try to force blocks with a lot of RU moves or rotating, personally I like to stay with the first block on the left and not rotate it at all. The reason for this is because of look ahead and just efficiency in general, and I think it's faster. So my first block solutions in one-handed are very similar to my first block solutions in two-handed. The only main difference that I kind of pick up in my solves is that I avoid B2. Let me just set up the case right here. So if I have this pair right here, where this blue-orange is solved, and I'm trying to solve it with that blue, the rest of the blue block, I can just do B2 in two-handed, but in one-handed it's kind of difficult. So instead of that, I'll just do 4 moves instead of 1, because I don't want to do a rotation, so I'll just do R prime, U prime, R wide, back prime. So B prime is really easy. It's kind of just F wide prime in a rotation, but B is a lot harder. So take advantage of B primes, but try to avoid B and B2. But almost everything else in my first blocks are the same. Moving on to something that's slightly less different would be second block. So in two-handed, there's quite a few cases where in the process of placing the DR edge, you're going to want to influence the rest of the pieces. Now, this is pretty easy once you start looking ahead to the DR edge during inspection, but a couple problems arise because once you have to do an R2 in general to solve the DR edge, whether it's RUR or RU2R, but then there's also R prime UR and R prime UR prime and that type of thing. So it's really easy to get your wrist over rotated in that case with a lot of R's, like 3 R's in a row or 3 R primes in a row. For one-handed, you don't have this problem. So I find myself in one-handed taking advantage of a lot of R's in quick succession, something like this, R, U, R, U, R wide, U, R prime. That would be kind of awkward to do in two-handed and would require a regrip, but in one-handed, that's definitely something you should take advantage of since you don't have to over-rotate your wrist. Also, there's a few cases in one-handed where I use a different solution for the first block. I'll try to set one up right now. Let's see this. So something like this right here, where you have this red, green, white pair in the front. So two-handed, I usually do the M move solution, so like R, U prime, M, U prime, R prime. But that's a lot of awkward moves for one-handed, so I'll just generally do something like, oh, I messed it up. I'll generally just do something like R wide, U prime, R wide prime. So just a couple extra moves there to save the M and the R prime in quick succession, I think is worth it. But once again, second block, it's almost the exact same as two-handed. Once you get a bit more advanced, you'll start picking up little minute details like the ones I just mentioned. But overall, if you're doing the same thing that you do in two-handed, for second block, you should be good to go. One more thing is, I think I mentioned this in one of my other videos, but forcing the DR edge to be solved is really useful. And for one-handed, it's easier to do this, once again, because of you can do an extra R move without having to regrip and get that weird over-rotation of your wrist if you were doing two-handed. Last but not least, we have the last 6 edges, and this step, I can basically say with confidence, is the exact same in one-handed and two-handed. You're just going to want to be doing your EOLR, having good 4C recognition, and good finger tricks with your M and U moves. One-handed, for the finger tricks, there's some differences. One-handed, you want to start learning how to do these idos, which are these double flicks like this. I'm getting better at them, but I still haven't been able to implement them in solves. And M2s, I'll just like pretend this is a table. M2s like that. So those kind of advanced finger tricks can help a lot. But overall, the solutions are more or less the same in one-handed and two-handed. So hopefully this gave you more of an insight into the differences, and you can start taking the slight differences in mind while trying to make your one-handed solves similar to two-handed solves, and improve further with one-handed Roux. Good luck, everyone.